made a decision about you. All you got to do is line up with God's decision. And here's what I believe. Now, we talked about eternal security this morning. I believe that the grace of God will find you wherever you are. Y'all not hear me? Here's my point. Once God has already made a decision, that's not once. Since God has already made a decision about you, it's just a matter of time before you line up with his decision about you. Because God's going to find you wherever you are. How do you think you got to church today? You think somebody invited you to church or, no. That's God. Because you were God's decision. Everybody say time. Here is time. Time is lateral. This is time. Time has a beginning. Time has an ending. This table is time. It has a beginning, or we can start on this end. No, I'm starting on this end because this is the end that the Hebrews start on. They read from right to left. Their time goes from here to here. Ours goes from here to there. God has a beginning of time. Somewhere over here is Adam. Adam somewhere over here. Seth. Abraham, or Noah rather. It comes somewhere along here comes Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. 12 tribes of Israel. And Moses comes along somewhere down along here in Joshua. See time. Samuel, Nathan, David, Saul that come along here somewhere. Solomon comes along, then come the prophets, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Nehemiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Obadiah, Isaiah, the eagle-eyed prophet, Micah, Malachi, Amos, Jonah. The prophets come along over here somewhere, then we get around here somewhere and we jump over. Here comes Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Jesus shows up somewhere around in here, and time keeps moving. Then we get to Pentecost. Day of Pentecost, and the Holy Ghost falls somewhere along here in time. Then come the apostles. Paul comes and preaches to the Gentiles. As Paul's preaching to the Gentiles, John is over here on an island called Patmos, and he's getting a revelation somewhere around in here. And he's seeing the beginning and the ends of time. He sees time unfold from that end to that end. And he sees time as one thing. And said, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and I saw everything at one time, and showed us in the book of Revelation. And then all of a sudden, the apostles go off the stream, and the apostolic fathers come along around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd century. You know, that we see all the stuff that begins to happen with the church. And then the Catholic Church comes up, and around the 3rd or 4th century, 5th century, then we move into medieval time, the Baroque and the Renaissance. Then all of a sudden we get to Martin Luther and his 95 Theses, and we get the Protestant Reformation that we come from somewhere around here in time. And then we jumped up into the great revivals that happened in Great Britain and Scotland and Charles Spurgeon. And then all of a sudden around 1906, something happened over in California called Azusa, and the Holy Ghost fell. And we got to this part of time, and then all of a sudden all these other organizations start coming along, and we get all the way down to about here in time, about to the end of the table, right about where we are right now. All this is time. All this is time. And then before the end of time, there'll be a moment when Jesus will come back right about here in time. And when Jesus comes back, time will have an ending. There'll be an ending to time. But all of this is time. I just walked you through a history of time, history of man, history of time. But time is lateral. This is time. But let me show you where God is. God is outside of time. Can I show you where God is? That's the whole history of mankind. In here somewhere, let's just make it a history of your life. Let's just take this table and make it your life from the time you were born until the time you die. Can we do that? we just make it your life, or we make it the whole history of man, guess where God is? God is not here. God's not walking through it. We say, the Lord's walking through time with me. No, you know where God is? God's up here. And what does God see? All of it at one time. God sees all time. Y'all missing what I'm saying. God's standing here, and he sees it complete at the same time. He sees what he's spoken being laid out in time for us to live through. So God's not in time. God's outside of time, speaking back in time, so what he determined before time will come to pass. So you getting jacked up about what's going on at that spot in your life, but God's already got it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I making sense, Darren? God is outside of your time, looking at your time. So you're thinking, well, God ain't going to use me. Not only is God going to use you, but God sees you saved. Y'all not hear what I'm trying to tell you? It's the devil that doesn't want you to get a view of who you are. That's why Paul says, beloved, now are we the sons of God. Right now. Don't let time jack you up. Don't let what you do in time mess you up. God has made a decision. God has made a decision to use you. Tell somebody it was God's decision